All right, let's get right into it. When we picture the start of Christianity, it's so easy to think of it as this one single movement, just spreading out neatly from a single point. But the real story? It's way more complex, and honestly, a lot more exciting. It's not about one giant fire, but more like a single spark that lit a bunch of different flames all across a huge, diverse world. So here's the big question, right? How on earth does a faith that started with just a handful of people in a tiny corner of the Roman Empire explode into a global religion? The answer? Well, it is not a straight line, not even close. It's a story of adaptation, of arguments, and of this incredible diversity from place to place. So let's trace that journey.
To really get this, we've got to go back to the beginning, the world of Second Temple Judaism. Picture a culture completely soaked in the Hebrew scriptures, with life revolving around the temple in Jerusalem, all under Roman occupation. And the key thing is, the air was just humming with this expectation of a Messiah, someone who would come and fulfill all the old prophecies. This is the very soil where Christianity first started to grow.
So let's begin where it all began, Jerusalem. For a little while, this was it. This was the undisputed headquarters, the ground zero for the whole movement, before those flames really started to spread out.
And man, this timeline really shows you just how fast things changed. Think about it. Within a single person's lifetime, you go from the crucifixion of Jesus to a huge debate about who's even allowed in, and then, boom, the absolute cataclysm of the temple's destruction, an event that would change both Judaism and this new Christian movement forever.
So here's the thing you've got to remember. This first community was deeply, thoroughly Jewish. We're talking about leaders like Peter, John, and James, Jesus' own brother. They followed Jewish customs, they worshipped at the temple, they weren't trying to start some brand new religion. But that destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, that was a total game changer. It scattered this original community, and in doing so, it opened the door for new centers of power to pop up elsewhere.
So as the movement spread out from Jerusalem, it started to catch fire in new places, especially in the East. And over in the Greek-speaking part of the world, it ran into this whole new vibe, a world of philosophy, of trade, of a totally different culture that would completely shape what it was becoming.
Alexandria is the perfect example of how your location shapes your faith. This city was basically the intellectual capital of the Mediterranean. So what happens when Christianity gets there? It gets philosophical. You have thinkers like Origen who start using Greek ideas to explore who God is. And suddenly, Alexandria isn't just a place of faith, it's a high-powered hub for deep theological thought. Okay, so if Alexandria was the brainy philosopher, then Antioch was the bold explorer. It was this bustling, multicultural city, and it became the launching pad for the mission to the non-Jewish world. Fun fact, this is where they were first called Christians. It was also a place of some pretty heated debates, like the famous showdown between Peter and Paul over Jewish law. Antioch was all about action and expansion, and it was absolutely vital for the faith's growth.
All right, let's switch gears and head west. As Christianity moved into the Latin-speaking half of the Roman Empire, it started to feel different. Its character was shaped way less by Greek philosophy and way more by Roman law and organization.
Now, Rome's story is really fascinating. It wasn't the first Christian community, not by a long shot, but it was Rome, the heart of the empire. So almost by default, the church there just grew in power and influence. Its importance didn't come from being the smartest or the first, but from being the administrative center of the known world. It was basically destined to become this powerhouse of church authority. And then you've got Carthage, over in what's now Tunisia. You could call this place the theological engine room of the West. While everyone in Alexandria was debating in Greek, brilliant, fiery guys here like Tertullian were hammering out the core ideas of the faith in Latin. He literally created the vocabulary for concepts like the Trinity in Latin, and in doing so, shaped the entire future of Western Christianity. And when you put them side by side like this, man, the difference is just stark. You've basically got two different Christian worlds developing at the same time. In the East, you've got Greek and philosophy. In the West, you've got Latin and law. And listen, these aren't just minor little details. These are the deep cultural fault lines that would end up shaping the next 2,000 years of history.
But hold on, the story doesn't just stop at the Roman border. Christianity was also taking root in completely different cultures and political systems, which really goes to show just how adaptable it was. 301 AD, this one date tells a pretty remarkable story. So what happened?
Get this is massive. Decades before Christianity was even legal in the Roman Empire, the Kingdom of Armenia makes it their official state religion. This proved that the faith's future wasn't just tied to Rome. It could thrive. It could become the heart of a national identity, completely outside of that Greco-Roman bubble.
Okay, so after zipping around all these different early centers, what's the big picture here? What's the main thing to take away from all this? This quote just nails it. We really have to stop thinking of the early church as one single monolithic thing. It was more like a network, a web of communities that were connected, sure, but also incredibly distinct. I mean, a Christian in Alexandria and a Christian in Carthage shared the same core faith, but the way they talked about it, the way they thought about it, they were practically from different worlds. And why is this so important? Because if you get this, so much of later Christian history just clicks into place. All those big arguments, those famous church councils, a lot of the time they were really just clashes between these different cultural versions of the same faith. The seeds for the great split between the Eastern and Western Church, they were planted right here, in these first few centuries. This diversity at the foundation is absolutely key. And that kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? We hear a lot about the idea of unity in faith. But if the Christian movement was this collection of diverse, culturally unique flames from the very, very beginning, well, maybe we need to rethink what we mean by unity. What does it really mean to be one when, in a way, you have always been many?